Welcome everyone, my name is Joanna and here you can find support in healing insecure attachment style. We have two avoidant attachment styles, dismissive avoidant and fearful avoidant. And today I will list for you tendencies, patterns, associations, experiences the fearful avoidant attachment style have in the relationships, and this will help you to assess your attachment style. So first thing you want to do if you are interested in checking if what I will list here resonates with you, you can assign number 1 to things you agree with and number 0 with things you don't agree with. This will help you to assess what tendencies, patterns you will need to work on if you want to start working on your attachment style. So first thing, we have a desire to be in a relationship with others, but feeling uncomfortable getting close to others due to fear of getting hurt. So fearful avoidant attachment style actually feels fear of hurt because that hurt also is associated with feeling unworthy. So when we're healing our attachment style, this feeling hurt really triggers us, and based on the intensity of that hurt, we have a tendency to shut down emotionally and emotionally push people away. So the moment we feel hurt, our nervous system activates the protective mode, and out of this protective mode we become colder, we withdraw emotionally, or we have a desire to leave the relationship. And most of the fearful avoidance will end the relationship when the hurt is intense. Then second thing, we have feeling anxious when there is too big emotional space. So there is not enough connection, not enough contact, the emotional space is too big. Then the fearful avoidant swing on the anxious side of the attachment style. And feeling trapped when there is too little emotional space. So the partner is too close emotionally, relying, wanting spending time too much, wanting to be together too much, then the fearful avoidant will feel trapped and will swing onto avoidance side of the attachment style and will need space and will start coping to get that space. About the coping mechanisms, I will do this separate video. Then next one, we have having difficulty building trust. So from my own experience and what I see, person with fearful avoidant attachment style enters a relationship with suspicion, not trusting. There is never a sense of trust, and mostly the fearful avoidant will feel suspicious and not trusting at the beginning. And if the fearful avoidant will not work on building the trust and not healing the core wound, I can't trust, the trust will never actually occur in the relationship, and the fearful avoidant will not be able to pass the power struggle phase of the relationship without building the trust. Next one, we have being suspicious and doubtful. This comes from what I said about the core wound I can't trust, and this is how the fearful avoidance shows up in the relationship. Suspicious of the faithfulness of the partner, being doubtful about if this is right person, if stay in the relationship or leave the relationship. These are very profound feelings the person with fearful avoidant attachment style is going through. Fear of being betrayed, again, is touching the core wound. I am not good enough, I'm not worthy, there is something wrong with me, and that whole association about the relationship, that relationship is not a safe space for us as fearful avoidance. We have a tendency as fearful avoidance avoiding conflict. We don't do well in conflict because we cannot set boundaries. Next one, we have avoiding displaying emotions and being vulnerable with their partners unless they are certain they will get a positive response. So fearful avoidant will feel more willing to show emotions and be vulnerable when that certainty it will be received and there will be positive response if will be there, because fearful avoidants are afraid of rejection. Fearful avoidants tend to internalize problems in the relationship and take full responsibility for the relationship. This is very common as well. The fearful avoidant operates from that childhood impression that the relationship, in order to function, to keep it, it depends on how the fearful avoidance shows up in the relationship. That's why the person, FA, will take full responsibility for the relationship, and unfortunately, right away what comes with this, the FA doesn't have the ability to share power in the relationship. And out of that, we have also that impression about the relationship. If I want to have you, I cannot have me. If I want to have me, I cannot have you. And that's why there is a lot of power struggle and that flip-flopping between wanting to be in a relationship or leaving because of that. Next one, we have feel more invested in the relationship than the others involved. So for sure, fearful avoidant who is more on anxious side will invest into the relationship more, will make sure the dates are amazing, will be very present, very giving in the relationship, and usually is attracted to people who are less investing, putting less effort into the relationship. Next one, we have sensitive to change in patterns. Example, communication pattern. Partner communicates 3 times a day and changes into twice a day. Any changes in the relationship, any shift in the patterns, fearful avoidant automatically is hyper vigilant around that, tells self-story why this is happening. It feels like a threat. Fearful avoidant relies on control in order to predict the behaviors and situations in the relationship, and that changes in the patterns, which can be very innocent coming from just the situation, are very stressful for fearful avoidance, and that's why fearful avoidant needs to learn communicating needs around transparency in the relationship. A negative view of self, low self-confidence, intense inner critic voice, very common for fearful avoidance, caused by core wound, I'm unworthy, I'm bad, there is something wrong with me, or I am not good enough. A negative view of others, judging, not trusting, expecting being hurt. So because of that, repetitive situations when fearful avoidant experience pain in the relationship, feeling unseen, feeling unwanted in the relationship, that produced that negative view of others and judging and not trusting. A desire to be connected with others paired with a very strong hesitation. So that's why we call it fearful avoidant, because yes, we desire the relationship, we want it, but at the same time we know that relationship can cause a lot of stress and pain and challenges. A fear of rejection, fear of abandonment is that at the bottom of and as a root of that. A sense of not being good enough or worthy, especially when with dismissive avoidant partner, because the dismissive avoidant partner is not expressing a desire to be together, which for fearful avoidant is translated as I am worthy, I am loved, And because the dismissive avoidant doesn't have that, doesn't bring this into the relationship, a sense of not being good enough or unworthy is very strong and activated in that type of relationships. Not expressing small hurts at the moment, but then all the build-up at once. This is again the result of not being able to set boundaries, fear of setting boundaries, fear of conflict, and the coping mechanism is just to collect the small hurts, have the blacklist of this incidents in the back of the head, and then at the moment when it's like, now it's really, I should show up for myself, I need to show up for myself, this usually shows up as a eruption of volcano. And we see this very often with fearful avoidance. Next one, we have take a long time to commit, but tend to have strong feelings early on. So yes, the attraction, the feelings are strong at the beginning, but committing and being in the relationship takes time, and there are fears and worries around this. It's again this impression, if I want to have you, I cannot have me. The sense of self is threatened. And if I want to have me, then I cannot have you, which means the relationship. So that's why there is this fear of commitment. Hesitant and reserved in how much you share about yourself and your feelings. So because of the shame, a fearful avoidant will hesitant, will not be vulnerable and reserved, and will not share much about self and feelings, because this is expression of boundaries. But it's a good listener, very present, and offering a lot of space for another person to share about themselves. Plus, also collects information through asking many questions in order to get to know that person very well. And if it's attracted and want this person, it's easier to accommodate to that person when we know how this person operates, when we know their needs, their feelings, their fears. So that's why very often fearful avoidants collect that information on subconscious level in order to better accommodate to that partner, potential partner, or to assess the danger of being hurt by that potential partner. Tend to have a very hard time breaking off relationship due to fear of not finding another partner. So because of that core wound, I am unworthy, because of the challenges we experience in the relationships, we have a hard time breaking off the relationship, and the story our mind tells us is that I will not find another partner. And it's easy to break up and break off the relationship for fearful avoidant when this intense or build-up of that hurt reaches the maximum, and then the fearful avoidant can very easily just drop it at the spot. Tendency to leave relationship abruptly when feeling hurt and then feeling desire to come back. So this is what I mentioned in the previous one. But after that intense moment and that methods to protect self and showing up for self by leaving, when the pain subsides, the feeling will start arising, and then the fearful avoidant will feel the desire to come back. And this may happen within 2 to 6 weeks. Feeling annoyed after a while with a partner who is more anxious and needs attention. So at the beginning, it may, especially if fearful avoidant had relationships with dismissive avoidants, meeting a more anxious person, it feels very good at the beginning because that warmth, that attention, that desire to be together comes from anxious, preoccupied person, and at the beginning it feels good. However, with a time, because a fearful avoidant is very often ashamed of wanting space and is afraid of taking space in the relationship, feels guilty, with a time it will show up as being annoyed and annoyed with that more anxious partner. And it's also resolved by expressing needs and strategizing needs for closeness and space. Feeling angry when someone has expectations toward them, so that pressure standards are very triggering for fearful avoidant, because fearful avoidant copes with low self-esteem and core wound I am unsafe through putting pressure on self and creating standards for self, and that's why the inner critic also is very active and very strong. So when someone is acting the same way as inner critic, we as fearful avoidants react with anger, because it's very hurtful to be treated this way. And this basically, that expectations is associated with I am unworthy, I need to prove my worth, I am not good enough, and that's why we feel angry. And because of that, we are also sensitive to criticism and lack of appreciation. So any criticism is hard to take in, because again, it's touching the core wound. I'm defective, I'm bad, I am unlovable. And lack of appreciation gives that message that we have to do more, what we do is not enough, so basically we don't deserve the love and connection. So I listed the most common tendencies, fears, coping mechanisms of the fearful avoidant. I hope you assessed which are resonating with you, and of course if you will be addressing and you will be start the healing journey, all of this, what it's listed, will no longer be present in your relationship and in your behavior. I hope this was helpful, so thank you for listening, and I invite you for the next video.